What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Representatives of opposition political parties convene media briefing in Colombo and criticize court order issued against Ranil Wickremesinghe.
මේක කිසිසේත් යුක්තිය පසඳලීමට දූෂණය මේ අපේ සමාජයෙන් තුරන් කිරීම නිසි පරිදි විමර්ශන පැවැත්වීමට මේ එකම අරමුණකටවත් සම්බන්ධ නැහැ.
Sajid, who did not attend the media briefing, visits Ranil at the hospital. NPP attorneys respond to allegations from the opposition. Former President Ranil continues to receive treatment at the Colombo National Hospital. Postal strike ends. Youth gunned down in Burlasgamua. Another hospitalized.
Starting off with news here at home, a group of representatives from the opposition political parties gathered in Colombo today and held a press conference to express support for former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. He is currently being held in remand custody until next Tuesday under a court order for charges under the Public Property Act. During the press conference, some of the attendees also criticized the judicial process that led to Wickremesinghe's remand.
The press conference was held at a luxury hotel in Koldupitia, Colombo. Although it was announced that the opposition political parties would jointly hold this press conference, neither the leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, nor the leader of the Podujana Peramuna, Mahinda Rajapaksa, was in attendance. None of the frontline leaders of the Samagi Jana Balawegya attended the press conference. Only MP Kavinda Jayawardena was present to show support for Ranil Wickremesinghe. However, he was not given an opportunity to speak at the press conference. Interestingly, the national organizer of the Podujana Peramuna, MP Namal Rajapaksa, also joined midway through the press conference but did not make any comments. Former President Maithripala Sirisena also attended, and it was announced at the press conference that former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga had sent a statement. Professor G.L. Peris, the main speaker, criticized the court's decision by quoting an Indian newspaper article. He stated that according to the newspaper article, Wickremesinghe's foreign visit was an official one based on a formal invitation.
This event in the University of Wolverhampton, I have with me a report that was published in Blitz India, the UK edition, Blitz India UK edition. The date of this is the 15th of October 2023. There's a great deal of confusion about the nature of this event. There were two events. One was a lunch in the University of Wolverhampton to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Lord Swaraj Paul. Lord Swaraj Paul had served the University of Wolverhampton for 25 unbroken years as the Chancellor of that university. And there is a celebratory lunch. His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe participates in that lunch not in a private capacity, but as the incumbent President of Sri Lanka. That is very clear from this. To celebrate the 25th anniversary of Lord Swaraj Paul's chancellorship, the University of Wolverhampton hosted Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Professor Maitri Wickremesinghe, the First Lady of Sri Lanka. So there were two events. There was a celebratory lunch in which Ranil Wickremesinghe participated as the President of Sri Lanka. After that, in the afternoon, there was a convocation. And it is that convocation which Professor Maitri Wickremesinghe attended as part of the proceedings connected with the induction of Maitri Wickremesinghe as an associate professor in English of the University of Wolverhampton. In
this regard, we have to say that an opposition is essential in any democratic society. This means that the government's policies and actions must be continuously scrutinized and criticized by the public. If such an opportunity does not exist in a society, it cannot be accepted, even at a minimal level of democracy. Now, if we think about the entire process, it is in no way related to upholding justice, eradicating corruption from our society, or conducting proper investigations. What is expected from this is crystal clear. It is a program to intimidate and silence individuals who express an opinion against the government, and we are witnessing it with our very own eyes. The objective of this is to completely destroy the democratic institutions of this country. If we all do not unite, this effort will fail.
මේකේ අභිමතාර්ථය වන්නේ මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ආයතන සම්පූර්ණයෙන් විනාශ කර දැමීම. අපි සියලු දෙනාම නොවනවා නම් මේ ප්‍රයත්නය පරාජය කෙරේ.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's faction had submitted a letter dated the 1st of September 2023 to the Criminal Investigation Department last Friday in an attempt to prove that Wickremesinghe's visit was based on an official invitation. However, this was the opinion expressed in the Magistrates Court regarding that letter. Quote,
a letter dated 1st of September 2023 has been submitted to the court by the suspect today to confirm that it was an invitation received by him as the President of Sri Lanka and his wife. However, the Criminal Investigation Department has informed the court that they have recorded statements from 38 witnesses related to this case, and during the recording of these statements, no one, including any of the witnesses, had submitted the aforementioned document that the former president presented to the CID today. Not even Sandra Pereira, who worked as the former president's private secretary for nearly 10 years, had submitted that letter. Accordingly, it has been noted that the letter was prepared later.
Unquote. The Fourth Magistrates Court, while remanding Ranil Wickremesinghe, ordered the Criminal Investigation Department to conduct an investigation into this letter. Here, the court clearly stated that the Criminal Investigation Department must investigate whether the letter presented by the defendant to the court the day before yesterday was genuine or not. The court pointed out that in previous investigations, none of the 38 people questioned had mentioned such a letter. Not even Ranil Wickremesinghe's personal secretary had presented a letter of this kind. The court therefore ordered the Criminal Investigation Department to investigate the authenticity of the letter and submit a report. Against a backdrop where the court had issued a clear directive on this matter through the judicial process, Professor G.L. Peiris today attempted to claim that Ranil Wickremesinghe's invitation was an official one by quoting an Indian newspaper. Meanwhile, MP Dayasiri Jayasekara, who attended the media briefing, said that this was an issue between the elite and non-elite groups of society.
Today, a conflict between elite and non-elite has been created in society. This is the fate that has befallen the country when its governance falls into the hands of a few people who are filled with class hatred and inferiority complexes. That is why we are taking every possible action against this.
Nimal Siripala de Silva, who joined the media briefing as the leader of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, said that the law must be implemented.
I urge Andra Kumara Dissanayake to look at the lessons learned from history and, for the sake of protecting democracy, to correct these wrongs now. I also urge him to enforce the law and catch the thieves. We have no objection to that. We passed those laws in Parliament for that very purpose. But what is being done now is using it as a facade and using improper measures to hunt down political opponents. That is the problem we have.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena also commented on the matter.
What we can see now is that the characteristics of a democratic society are gradually fading away. We can see that the planks for the coffin of democracy to be sealed are being prepared. Therefore, if we see that a question is emerging, it is the duty of everyone to forget all political party differences and act to save the country. If a politician like Ranil Wickremesinghe is remanded, his political career is not complete without it. Therefore, on that basis, we, the political parties and lawyers, will make our utmost democratic commitment to get Ranil Wickremesinghe released.
The message from former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga was read out by the General Secretary of the United National Party, Thalata Atukorala.
අතුකෝරළ මහත්මයයි.
The particular circumstances surrounding the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, the consequences of this go far beyond the fate of an individual or any political grouping and involve peril for the rights of our society as a whole. I join wholeheartedly in expressing my unreserved opposition to these initiatives which all political leaders are duty bound to resist. Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumartunga.
Although there was hope among politicians that former President Mahinda Rajapaksa would also attend the media briefing, it was the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Sagara Karyawasam, who attended the media briefing and commented on behalf of the party.
As the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, as a party, all of us, including our leader, Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa, strongly condemn this incident. Not only do we condemn it, but we also view it with utter disgust. We remind everyone that we have a duty to unite against this for the sake of the country and for the future generations.
Several other political party leaders also spoke at the media briefing.
We clearly state that this is just another step in the underlying political strategy to move towards a single party system and maintain only one party in this country. We must unite on this immediately or we will be too late.
However, leader of the Tamil Progressive Alliance, Mano Ganeshan, said that while there are allegations linking former President Ranil Wickremesinghe to the Batalanda torture chambers and the central bank bond scam, which are serious crimes, arresting Ranil Wickremesinghe for this matter is clearly an act of political vengeance.
There are plenty of allegations against him regarding Batalanda, the central bank issue, and so on. The people who made those allegations are here, aren't they? Did anyone talk about them? They don't talk about those. In that case, we wouldn't be gathering like this. This is 100% political revenge. Don't forget that.
The former president was summoned last Friday. If the evidence have been recorded, if the statements have been recorded, and if offence have been discovered to have been committed, there was this option of reporting facts to the magistrate through a B report for the magistrate to summon the president rather than to treat him like a common criminal, arrest him forthwith and produce. This was designed to humiliate him. That is what we are against. We are not against the due process of law being applied to everybody equally.
It is noteworthy that the media briefing ended without giving journalists a chance to ask questions. During the joint press conference held by opposition political parties, the leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, was not in attendance. Instead, he was at the Colombo National Hospital. Earlier today, the leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, visited the Colombo National Hospital to inquire into the well-being of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is still receiving treatment there.
There needs to be transparency in the implementation of laws. Not only that, but the process must be clean, and everyone must truly accept that it is so. The public must feel that the process is being implemented correctly and without flaws. A YouTube channel cannot decide the fate of an individual being imprisoned, remanded, or for how long they will remain there. In a democratic country, the judicial process should be carried out with greater strength and transparency. The government, along with all of us, must truly be committed to protecting the rule of law.
අපි සියලු දෙනාම කැප වෙන්නට ඕන. දැන් විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි දැක්ක හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරු සියලු දෙනා එකහුව වෙලා සාකච්ඡා කරන මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැන් විපක්ෂ නායකවරයා විදිහට ඕන්ට සහාය ලබා දීලා මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉදිරියේදී එක පෙරමුණක් යටතේ ඉදිරි මැතිවරණවලදී තරඟ කරන්නත් එහෙම සූදානමක් එමුවේ. එකක් අවබෝධ කරගන්න අපි එකතු වෙන එක අත්වැල් බැඳ ගන්න එක ඒක හොදෙක් දේශපාලන වාසිතක නොවේ.
Opposition representatives were questioned why opposition leader Sajith Premadasa was absent from the media briefing by opposition parties.
Sajith Premadasa
I personally invited Sajith Premadasa and met him at Valikada, where I reminded him to extend his support. The United National Party officially invited him, and I believe other parties did so as well. I understand he was out of Colombo at the time.
ඒක ඉතින් මගෙන් අහලා වැඩක් නැහැ නේ අපි කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඔක්කොම කරලා තියෙන්නේ
පවිත්‍රාතුමිය දැන් ඔබතුමියලා පහුගිය කාලේ කිව්වා නින්දයක් නැහැ කියලා රනිල් මේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා
නෑ නෑ තුමිය කවදාවත් කියලා නෑ දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැක්කනේ අපි බොහොම හොඳට අපි හැමදාම එක විදියට හිටපු අය ඒකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ අපිට ඒ කියන්නේ එළියට පෙන්නන දෙයක් ඇතුළතනේ නෑ ඉතින් මේ දේශපාලනය කියන මරා ගන්න දෙයක් නෙමෙයිනේ ඒ දේශපාලන කුහකකම තියන්නේ ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලට ඒගොල්ලෝ සම්බන්ධ අයට කුහක උද්දච්ච ඒගොල්ලෝ කරයි අපි එහෙම නෑ
දැන් සම්පූර්ණ බලවේග කවුරුත් නෑනේ මේකට සහාය දීලා
ඒක ඉතින් මගෙන් අහලා හරියන්නේ නෑනේ මහත්තයෝ නෑ එතන මං හිතන්නේ කීප දෙනෙක් හිටියා
කවුරුත් හිටියේ නෑ සජිත් මහත්තයා එළියෙන්නේ නෑ රනිල් මද්දපණ්ඩාර මහත්තයා එළියෙන්නේ
නෑ නෑ අපේ ආරාධනාව අපි කියලා තියෙන්නේ
දැන් මේ වගේ අවස්ථාවකට සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයා ඇවිල්ලා නෑ මොකක්ද ඒ සම්බන්ධව ඔබතුමා
එතුමාගේ පක්ෂය සහ එතුමාගේ දේශපාලන තීන්දුව తీරන ගන්න ආකාරය. ඉතින් අපි හිතනවා මේ රටේ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් එකතු වී යුතු අවස්ථාවවලදී ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය වෙනුවෙන් එකතු වී යුතු අවස්ථාවවලදී අපි එකතු වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක පෞද්ගලික දේශපාලන අරමුණක නෙවෙයි.
මේ එකතු වෙන්නේ බය වෙනවද අපිට?
බය නම් අපි එකතු වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. බය කරන්නත් බෑ, කිඳිරි ගන්නෙත් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, many other opposition politicians visited the Colombo National Hospital throughout the day to inquire about the health of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The Deputy Director of the Colombo National Hospital, Dr. Rukshan Bellana, commented on Ranil Wickremesinghe's health condition.
We believe he can turn a corner and get better in 2 or 3 days. If we don't treat him correctly, complications can develop, which is why he is being treated in the intensive care unit.
දැන් ඔහු රජසත්කාරයේදී දැඩි නිරීක්ෂණයක් කරනවා. ඔහුව හරියට අපි රැක බලාගත්තොත් ඔහුට තව දවස් 3කින් විතර ඔහුගේ යථාර්ථයක්
දැන් මේ කියන්නේ බන්ධනාගාරය තුලදී වතුරක් බීලා නැද්ද ඒකද මේ?
දන්නේ. ඒක දන්නේ විජලනයේ තමයි දන්නේ.
A group including Ravi Karunanayaka, Lakshman Kiriyala, Ranjit Madhuma Bandara and Kavinda Jayawardena also visited the Colombo National Hospital.
I came to check on his health. I believe he will get bail on the 26th. Ranil Wickremesinghe has cooperated with the investigations. He has always come to the CID and his staff have given statements. There's no obstruction to the investigations.
ක්‍රියාශීලී ජීවිතයක් ගත කරපු කෙනෙක් ඉතින් දැන් අපිට ඉඳ වැය ගෙවල් අපිට කොහරි යන්න ඕනේ නැවතිස්සේ
A great injustice has been done to him. It is an anti-democratic process. He was arrested before the investigations were even finalized. The law should be implemented fairly and according to certain rules and regulations. We believe that there was a political push behind this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been arrested and remanded in this way, especially with the power outage for 3 to 4 hours in the court that day, and it took the judge 2 to 3 hours to deliver the judgment. I think there's a big game going on here. It's not right to do this to a former president. It is not democratic. We are also asking for the law to be implemented correctly. We can clearly see a flaw in the way the law is being implemented. It's clearly revenge. For something like this to be done to a political figure, a political hand from above must make the decision. This is not a normal legal process. I know my father also faced political revenge. What is happening to Mr. Wickremesinghe now is also political revenge. I am 200% sure of that.
Lawyers of the National People's Power held a media briefing in Palavatta today to address allegations from the opposition on the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
President's counsel Upul Kumara Peruma stressed that the arrest was carried out to ensure that no one misuses state resources. funds or assets.
The main component of the Public Property Act is that if a crime involves more than 25,000 rupees, the person arrested and produced before a court should not be granted bail except under special circumstances. It goes without saying that the accused should remain in remand until the case is heard.
Attorney Lanka warns that making statements to insult a court decision and mislead the public can lead to serious consequences.
Since this order was ultimately issued by the Honourable Court, any statements made outside of Parliament that undermines this order can proceed to be considered contempt of court. If there is an attempt to organise gatherings or inform the public by portraying this as a political revenge, that also constitutes contempt of court. Furthermore, if it develops into public unrest, there is a possibility that it could become a reason to deny the former president bail.
Attorney Hemkasena Nayaka emphasises that no one is above the law.
Where does it say that a case cannot be filed against a former president of this country or the 8th president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, if a charge has been made against him? If he has not committed a wrong, he will be acquitted. The actions being taken by the opposition are extremely dangerous as they are destroying the public's trust in the country's judiciary and its honourable judges, causing great harm to the nation. As lawyers for the National People's Power, we see this as their attempt to revert to the previous barbaric era. Finally, we ask the opposition to please stop now. It is enough. Let the judiciary make its decisions independently. The court will decide this. We do not need to.
Attorney Jayanta Dehiyatage said that enforcing the law in this manner does not impact a president's ability to make decisions.
Some people say that if this situation arises, future presidents will be afraid to make decisions. But when dealing with public funds, one must act with a sense of responsibility. You must operate with the knowledge that misuse could occur somewhere and therefore take the necessary steps to prevent it. We propose that the current implementation of the law is now making a difference for both the public and the rulers. The public should stand up and unite with that change.
It appears that politicians who have never once united on issues affecting the public are now coming together for their own benefit. In recent Sri Lankan political history, the true alliances of these leaders who have long divided communities and criticized each other across multiple fronts are now coming to light. Here is a closer look at the political realities then and now.
නීති රීති ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමේදී විනිවිද භාවයක් තියෙන්නට ඕන. පිරිසිදු භාවයක් තියෙන්නට ඕන. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මොකද මේ
What has Ranil Wickremesinghe done so far? Instead of growing the economy, he has shrunk it. After doing that, he claims that everything is normal. What does he mean by normal? We will ensure that the thieves who ruin this country are brought before the law and made to repay the people. The resources, assets and money lost will be recovered and used for the nation's development. Ranil Wickremesinghe went to Kurunegala and claimed that he would establish a trade zone from Kurunegala to Hambantota. Then he went to Jaffna and said that he will establish another trade zone from Kankasanturai to Dondra Head.
ඉතින් මිනිහා ආදපු කර්මාන්තපුරේ ෆොක්සගන් වාහනේ දැන් නංගිලා පදිනවා ඇති.
He is the only leader in the world to have used an airport to store paddy.
එකම නායකයා රනිල්.
අපි පැහැදිලිවම දේශපාලන පරිගැනීමට විරුද්ධයි. අපි පැහැදිලිවම ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී රාමුව ඇතුලේ හෝ පිට රාජ්‍ය බිඳවැටීමට විරුද්ධයි. ඒ හින්දා මේ පරිගැනීම ආණ්ඩුව නතර කළ යුතුයි.
We believe that with Aloysius being taken to jail, Ranil Wickremesinghe and his associates would distance themselves from the bond scam. However, it is now clear that they are attempting to protect Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and are strategizing their next moves.
දැන් බලනවා දාන්න උපක්‍රම.
මම කියන්නේ මේ දෙබිඩිකා භාවයෙන් නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරලා රටට සුගතියක් ඇති වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. නීතිය නම් කාටවත් නීතිය. ඕන කෙනාටයි ඕන නැති කෙනාටයි ඒ ක්‍රමයට යන්න බෑ.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is a cancer who is ignorant of the country's traditions, history and national identity. He shows no concern for security or the economy and focuses only on pleasing foreigners. The country has no future without removing this cancer.
Ranil Wickremesinghe must answer for the murder charges against him. He cannot evade accountability for the deaths of 60,000 people, the battle on the killings, the killing of children in Suryakanda, or the murders of Gamini Athukorala, Gamini Disanayaka and Lalit Athulat Mudali.
Ranil Wickremesinghe nidahas wenna bෑ මිත්‍රවරුනි. අපි දෙන්නේ රට.
මේ පොදු දෙපොළ පනත යටතේ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම තරම් ඓතිහාසික විහිළුවක් ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රයට කරපු විහිළුවක් තවත් මේ රටේ නැහැ.
තුමට බලය ලබා ගන්නත් බෑ.
He cannot get power, neither can he maintain power that was given to him. The first incident occurred when Arjun Mahendran was appointed. He said that he will personally be responsible for that appointment. He cannot deviate from what he said in front of the entire cabinet. That government was completely destroyed with one wrong appointment by Ranil Wickremesinghe. If a proper appointment was made to the central bank, we would have been able to win this election as well.
මේ වගේ කරුණක් අරගෙන අත්අඩංගුවටගෙන හුව රිමාන්ඩ් බන්ධනාගාරගත කිරීම වැරදි විදිහටයි අපි දකින්නේ.
මේ රටේ
Ranil Wickremesinghe is a person who sells off national assets, compromises the sovereignty of the country by allowing any country to carry out projects, and allows his cabinet to steal as much as they want. Ranil Wickremesinghe is a person who allowed his cabinet and their cronies to steal as much as they wanted. So how can we continue to work with him in the future?
මේ ක්‍රියාවලිය ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්න.
It was because of the arrogant political practices of Ranil Wickremesinghe that the members of the United National Party had to be in the opposition for 17 years. He is known as an expired politician. Now, since he has no other option, he is visiting temples to obtain blessings from the gods. We would like to say that no gods will listen to a leader who does not listen to the people.
The Civil Intellectual Front expressed their views on the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
You know that in the past, if an ordinary person, say, stole a coconut or got caught for a minor offence, they were jailed. They were jailed according to the law of this country. A politician is not a special person. They have been given a special power and a special mandate from the people. And if they misuse it, it's completely wrong. They should be punished by law. Today, it's a gang of thieves that has gathered. The people who are now gathering are the ones who voted in parliament to protect large-scale thieves like Kehliya Rambukwella. The person who is in jail today is the one who told Sujiva Senasinghe not to file lawsuits for thefts like the central bank bond scam. As the law is starting to close in on the large-scale thieves, they are starting to whine. In the past, we spoke out against thieves and protested on the streets. During those times, it was this dictatorial frenzy that tried to arrest us with acts like the Anti-Terrorism Act. Now these people come out and say dictatorial decisions are being made and that we should rise up against them. What a load of rubbish. The secret discussions they had in hotel rooms and buffets at night are now out in the open as a press conference. My goodness, are these press conferences for the people of this country? Where were these people when there was no fuel? You couldn't hold a single press conference to get together and find a solution to the fuel crisis. Now that their head thief is in jail, the gang of thieves has gathered and is ready to hold discussions and press conferences to set this country on fire. They are like Hanuman waving a torch, but it's not catching fire. A good rain has fallen and all the water has washed it away. Even Maithripala Sirisena comes out and says that the implementation of the law is destroying democracy in this country. It's so shameful for a former president to say something like this. So we are asking you, please stop with this utter rubbish. Don't mislead the people criminal of this country. In 76 years of turn-by-turn politics, the group in power blames the previous one, and no thieves are ever caught. We know that former President Mahinda Rajapaksa clearly came out in front of the media and said, yes, I protected the thieves and I'm suffering the consequences of that today. So are you saying that someday you want Andrakumara Dissanayake to say the same thing? And then there's Talatatu Korala, who I saw in a press conference asking, why didn't they act to recover the money? What a joke. If someone steals a TV from your house and is a thief, does it end the theft by just going to him and asking him to give the TV back? What are these people saying? Now the people at the bottom are feeling the heat because an executive president has been arrested. That's why they are speaking out like this. During the past 2 decades, there were several crises in this country. There was a civil war, there was a COVID pandemic, there was the Easter Sunday attack, and in 2022, there was an economic crisis. At any of those times, we did not see opposition parties setting aside all of their differences and uniting. But today, we see people like Vimal Veeravansa, Maithripala Sirisena and many other people, out of which a majority have been served with indictments and have cases pending against them in the High Court. Some of them have investigations against them being conducted by the Bribery Commission and the CID. A person like Maithripala Sirisena is a person who has been found guilty by the Supreme Court and had paid a fine. These kind of people are uniting and expressing their opinions against the court order not to save Ranil Wickremesinghe. They are doing this to try and stop legal action being filed against their corrupt actions in the future. These people understand that if this happened to Ranil Wickremesinghe, what will happen to them? They are attempting to spread a wrong opinion among the general public regarding this.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability. A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
In more local news, postal trade unions have decided to suspend their strike, which was based on 19 demands. The decision followed discussions today with Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa and relevant authorities.
Representatives of postal trade unions who were on strike held a discussion with Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa at the Ministry of Mass Media today. Postmaster General Ruwan Satkumara was also present at the meeting. The minister stated that the trade union had agreed to suspend the strike during the discussion.
At the Central Mail Exchange, the Control and Operations Division will continue to function with the fingerprint system in place. The government's decision regarding the fingerprint system and overtime has been accepted by the trade unions. Action is currently being taken on the remaining 17 demands. From 4 p.m. onwards, all trade unions have agreed to call off the trade union action and report to work. One request from the trade unions was to call off the strike action without any action being taken against them. We have decided to temporarily halt our decision regarding payments and leave.
Postal trade union representatives gathered at the postal headquarters and announced that they have called off the strike. The continuous strike was called off after constructive discussions with the minister based on the agreements we were able to reach. Of the 19 demands submitted, solutions for 17 will be put into action within a month, and this has been confirmed in writing. The minister did not approve any changes to the remaining 2 requests related to overtime and fingerprint procedures. We sincerely apologize to the public for any inconvenience caused. From 5 p.m. onwards today, we kindly ask all postal workers to report for duty and fully commit to providing their services.
News First with the people.
51 police inspectors have been promoted to the rank of Assistant Superintendent of Police with immediate effect.
According to the police media spokesperson ASP F.U. Wootler, the promotions were awarded to officers who excelled in the competitive examination. Nearly 2,000 police inspectors and chief police inspectors sat for the examination held in 2023. Following the approval of the National Police Commission, the 51 officers who passed the examination have now officially assumed the rank of Assistant Superintendent of Police.
The three-wheeler believed to have been used by the suspects in the fatal shooting of a young man in Boralaskamu early this morning has been found in the Bokundara area. The victim was an associate of an individual known as Kosmalli, and police said that the shooting was carried out by a person named Sandro, who is an associate of the organized crime figure Badovita Asanka.
The murder occurred at around 12:30 am last night along Malani Bulat Sinhala Mawata in Boralaskamu. Police said that the gunman used a revolver. CCTV footage shows him fleeing the scene in a three-wheeler. The shooting was aimed at two young men who were on their way home after attending a carnival. A 21-year-old youth from Mount Lavinia died in the incident. A 27-year-old who was also injured is currently receiving treatment at the Kalubovila Teaching Hospital. Police confirmed that the shooting was carried out by an individual known as Sandro, an alleged associate of the organized crime figure Badovita Asanka. Investigations are underway to arrest the suspects. The police also said that the red three-wheeler connected to the incident was found abandoned near the Bokundara Economic Centre earlier today.
Ukraine celebrates its Independence Day today, commemorating 34 years since its declaration of independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. As the nation reflects on its hard-won sovereignty, this year's celebrations carried added weight amid the ongoing conflict with Russia, highlighting both the cost of freedom and the enduring spirit of the Ukrainian people.
Ukraine is marking its 34th Independence Day today, commemorating its formal break from the Soviet Union on the 24th of August 1991. The celebrations take place against a backdrop of fading hopes for recent peace efforts, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky assuring a crowd in Kiev that Ukraine would certainly not lose the years-long conflict. The 3.5-year war, which has killed tens of thousands of people, has ground to a virtual stalemate. Though Russia has managed to eke out recent advances in a grinding offensive, including claiming 2 villages in the eastern Donetsk region on Saturday. Amid continuing diplomatic efforts to end the long war in Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky on Sunday marked the country's Independence Day with a speech in Kiev's Central Square, reminding Ukrainians that they're still fighting for freedom. President Zelensky said Ukraine would continue to fight for its freedom in an address to the nation on its Independence Day. Zelensky's remarks came after Moscow said Ukraine had attacked Russian power and energy facilities overnight, blaming drone attacks for a fire at a nuclear power plant in its western Kursk region. Zelensky later met with the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who took the occasion to make his first official visit to Ukraine in a show of diplomatic support. President Trump's envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, also arrived in Kiev over the weekend for talks with Zelensky. Thereafter, both Carney and Kellogg attended the Independence Day celebrations. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump joined other world leaders in sending messages of support to Ukraine today as it celebrates Independence Day at a time when there is little hope for peace despite intense diplomatic efforts. Trump sent a letter to Ukraine on the country's 34th Independence Day, which marks the anniversary of declaring itself free of Soviet rule, praising its courage and saying the United States believes in its future as an independent state. other world leaders, including Chinese President Xi Jinping, Britain's King Charles and Pope Leo XIV, also delivered messages to mark the day, which comes as the momentum around peace talks has stalled and Russian President Vladimir Putin is showing he wants to fight on.
And that wraps up the news for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Do take care and good night.